Welcome to the first episode of The Writer's Room. I'm your host, Tessa Durrell, and today I'm joined by Sam and Ben Hutchins, some of Ocali's very own writers. So without further ado, let's take a step into The Writer's Room. So first up, each week we'll have writers from the Ocali come on and we'll interview them and talk about some of their stories with them. So today I'm going to have you guys just introduce yourselves a little bit, maybe talk about some of the work you've done.
Yeah, we're identical twins. That might be the first thing that jumps off to viewers on the camera, but we're both seniors at Oklahoma State, and as identical twins, our resumes will probably sound pretty familiar, but we've been writing for the Ocali since the second semester of our freshman year, and mostly sports writers. We've covered almost every sport there is here at Oklahoma State, but we've also dabbled in some news, as we'll get into with one of Ben's stories that he wrote recently. Did I cover everything, Ben?
The first thing that's going to jump off, I think, to folks is your shirt, man. I mean, come on. That's pretty in your face, but no, it livens up the studio. I'd say we're happy to be here.
So how long have you guys been writing for the Ocali?
Yeah, so we got involved pretty early when one of our buddies from class brought us down, and the second semester of our freshman year, we started covering women's tennis, cowgirl tennis here, and really enjoyed that, and we just got further and further involved in sports mostly, covering some news. But yeah, we've been on tennis, soccer, softball, baseball, football, women's basketball, men's basketball, track, equestrian, like if you name it, we've done it here.
Awesome. So maybe we can talk about your latest story. You covered something with Professor Jennifer Kuntz on her experiences with 9/11. Maybe you want to tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the three of us know we've all had Professor Jennifer
Yes.
Kuntz in the Spear School of Business. She's a teacher there, and Sam and I, we were in her class last year, and it was 9/11, and she diverted from her normal lesson plan of covering business, and she talked about her experience in Manhattan, downtown New York, on that morning. And
Wow.
I mean, that's the thing that has probably stuck with me most from that entire class, is that one day where she sat down and really changed my perspective on it. So I had, hey, like I heard you talk in class about it, I got to write this story. So this year I just got to talk to her last week, and she told me all about waking up that morning. And it was the first time in a while she had gone to New Jersey. She wasn't in New York, in her apartment 2 blocks from where the towers fell. She was in New Jersey, and she heard about the plane crashing in, thought it was maybe an accident, and then the second one hit, and she realized, hey, I got to get back home. So she was actually stuck in New Jersey that first night, away from her husband. She couldn't call him for hours because the way it worked, I guess everyone's phone was down.
Yeah.
You can't call someone with a New York number. But thankfully, she had contact back home with her parents in Texas, so she was able to say, "Hey, I'm okay," and spent the night in New York, and getting back was a whole nother adventure.
Yeah, I'm sure. Being from, you guys are from Oklahoma as well. You never really hear firsthand experiences from 9/11. So what is it like to get to write a story on someone like Jennifer Kuntz, who did have that firsthand experience? Did it give you a new outlook on the event? Kind of, what did that do for you?
It really made it real because, like a lot of my peers, I was born after 9/11. We were 11/9/01. So you obviously hear the stories, but Professor Kuntz brought it to life, and that was really cool. She made it real. It definitely changed the way I look at it. She's a big newspapers fan. Maybe that's why we get along so well. So she had kept all her newspapers, the New York Times, everything, and she spread them out on the table, and we looked at all the headlines from not only the 11th, but the 12th and the 13th and the 14th, and she had stuff, from a year after, and then when Osama bin Laden had gotten killed. So we saw so many different photos and things that just jogged her memory,
Yeah.
and it almost felt like I was there in some sort of way.
Yeah.
It made me feel more connected to it and than I've ever felt before.
Yeah, it's having all those pictures and everything right there just makes it so much more vivid and real, huh? So we also had another event honoring 9/11 at Boone Pickens, which was the stair climb. Did either of you get to read on that, look at that, maybe go?
Yeah, I got to see. I wasn't there. I can't claim that, but I did get to see the pictures. And the thing that stuck out to me the most is you maybe expect people to go out there in athletic shorts or tank top or something. But the thing I appreciated the most was seeing the firefighters out there who kind of wanted to be in the footsteps of the men and women who climbed the Twin Towers in 2011. So you got to see them out in full fireman gear, running up and down the stadium in Boone Pickens. I know you've been there plenty of times.
Yes.
We have too. Those stairs are no joke.
No way.
The whole kind of the width of the stairs is a little odd. It's not like stairs you usually encounter. So it was quite the climb from those people, and I think pretty admirable.
Yeah, so next up, we're going to be looking at some other pieces of history that were made this Friday with Burns and Ann Hargis, honoring them with some statues. So we'll have that next up on the Writers' Room.
My name is James Remedy. Fired Up Stilly is the name of the business, and I'm one of the owners. We all three met, the three owners, working as employees at a similar place like this. What I hope for is for everybody to feel welcome, like family. Not only do I want students to feel welcome to come here and study and use our free Wi-Fi, but also I want adults and families to be able to come in. We've built a connection with a lot of people, and Stillwater's a big community, so we just want to invite everybody to be able to eventually make their way through our doors. Well, definitely the teas, I would say. Most people fall in love with them. They just got a great amount of energy, gets you going through your day, and it just kickstarts you to get everything you need to done. For myself, it would just have to be, being the owner, owning something that, is able to impact other people's lives, and, the way we can affect our community is something that I really have always wanted to do. We love our clients and our customers that come through every day, and we enjoy getting to know them.
Well, how I got started was my daughter said, "Mama, why don't we rent a booth at the Quarter Horse Show?" And it was very, very good because, when you're giving your jelly away for free, people really do love it. But when you ask them to pay for it, then that's a true test. What makes my product so unique is the Scotch bonnet pepper. And the Scotch bonnet is the Jamaican pepper. And I had lived in Montego Bay, Jamaica for 4 years. So I learned how to handle the pepper and how to cook with it. I always say, you don't do this on your own. I mean, you have so many people that help you along the way. For me and for many of us, that's my name on that jar, and it better be good.
Welcome back to the Writers' Room. I'm still here with Ben and Sam Hutchins, but now we're going to be looking at our events on Friday honoring the 18th president of OSU, Burns Hargis. So I know you guys both had him as a president your first year here at Oklahoma State. What are some things you think about Burns Hargis? What are some things that stand out as he was president your first year?
Yeah, I just remember coming into OSU and not even knowing who my president was at the time, as a freshman. But by the end of that freshman year, I definitely knew not only of Burns but also of Ann. They kind of felt, like a grandmother kind of figure, someone that's approachable, someone that you feel like is so warm and welcoming. And I think that has kind of permeated through the shrums and everything like that. So yeah, I just remember like an overwhelming kind of feeling of warmth with them.
Yeah,
I remember. I think they did a good job of balancing the serious side that, of course, takes with running an institution like Oklahoma State, and also I remember being at the library lawn at Edmond Lowe and seeing Burns and Ann kind of preside over giving out cookies, and there was a concert on the Edmond Lowe kind of where the fountain is, and they were there. I think a Santa suit may have been involved somehow, so a bright orange Santa suit. So it was interesting to see how they elegantly kind of walked the balance of being the president of the university, having difficult conversations, wearing suits, being in those meetings, and also kind of relating with the students, right? Especially, it's their job to relate to 18-year-old kids, and it was like a great grandma and a great grandpa in that way, where it kind of felt like that, like Ben said, they were approachable, and I think they excelled in that, in kind of bringing students in.
So what do you think makes Burns Hargis so deserving of having this 10-foot statue almost dedicated to him?
Yeah, so I look at the buildings and some of the things that were directly built under Burns' overriding watch, and I think of Boone Pickens Stadium, the one that everyone thinks of course, but you also look at the Spear School of Business, the Greenwood Tennis Center, all these different places, Neil Patterson Stadium, so many things that came to life because of Boone. I thought Larry Reese, the PA announcer who was at the Burns and Ann Hargis statue unveiling, said it perfectly. Boone took OSU from slim pickings to Boone pickings to easy pickings. So I think a lot of that has to do with why Burns is being remembered with a statue.
Yeah.
And I mean, I once again kind of want to go back to their personal side too. They were great at raising money and getting those funds, and that's kind of what you need to do as president. But just the elegance that they had, I already used that word, but I think it's fitting they use it again. Anne Hargis, I think that it just kind of showed what their impact by the amount of people that were at their statue reveal and the important people that were at their statue reveal, donors, coaches at Oklahoma State University, really, and a bunch of students, everyone who'd been impacted by the Hargises. So Burns and Anne, I don't know if they could only have one statue or what, but I think Anne Hargis was definitely deserving of some recognition as well for all she did.
Yeah, she got her Orange Grove garden dedicated to her, and of course she's the mind behind Pete's Pet Posse. I don't know if you guys are involved with that at all, or what have you seen from her that's impacted your life still to this day on campus as far as wellness and mental health goes?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. You used the term wellness. I mean, I know the garden was out there, the hammock, which I haven't done any research, but Larry said it was the largest hammock in the world. So I know I guess, used the largest hammock in the world, which is kind of a cool thing. But yeah, no, Anna was definitely involved in that. And of course, I see Pete's Pet Posse all around, and the dogs, plenty of them were there on a really hot afternoon on Friday. So it was just a joy to see them. And yeah, I think of that side of Anne.
Awesome. So that was another wonderful segment here with Sam and Ben Hutchins. Next up, we're going to take a look at some cowgirl soccer and history made by one of our very own cowgirls. So that'll be next up on the Writers' Room.
Hi, I'm Shauna here at Where the Buffalo Roam in beautiful downtown Pawnee, Oklahoma. We have a lot of beautiful and unique items for sale in the store, but our number one items are Navajo jewelry, Pendleton blankets, and Consuela. It's a great place to shop, a beautiful downtown, so come see us in Pawnee, Oklahoma.
Pecans are staple to Oklahoma. In fact, many of our native pecans come from trees that are older than Oklahoma statehood.
My father's the one that got us started into the pecan picking. I was probably 10 or 12 years old, and we started off with one little mechanical picker that you pulled behind a four-wheeler. Then we'd go home at night and we'd clean them on a TV tray. I guess watching my dad work hard when we were young, and people started trusting him and getting more and more groves, we just kept growing.
Being a relatively new and fresh company, we get to sit in the same room with people who have been a part of the Oklahoma economy for decades.
It's opened a lot of doors. It's gave us quite a bit of exposure, and I think people, will take a small company like us a little more serious. We're just going to continue growing as long as our community lets us and our customers keep on buying, and we'll see where it takes us.
Welcome back to our next segment on the Writers' Room. So I'm so excited for this next segment because one of my favorite seasons is fall, not just for cowboy football, but also for cowgirl soccer. Now you guys have some history with cowgirl soccer, so why don't you guys tell us about that?
Yeah, we covered cowgirl soccer, both of us did, for 2 years, and I tell people it was one of my favorite beats to cover. It was a blast, and you got to be in the beautiful Neil Patterson Stadium. So yeah, it was super fun, and we've been following the team now with, you mentioned fall, but we were waiting for a record to fall, Ben, and it finally happened with Grace Yoakum, who, as some people may know, Oklahoma State's midfielder. So you might not think, oh, she could get a goal record, but she plays up a lot and takes a lot of penalty kicks, free kicks, is kind of a menace around the box. So Grace Yoakum set some history.
She did. 36 goals. That's a lot.
That's insane.
That's a lot, yeah. And I can think of games where I've seen, headers and penalty kicks and shots and in all sorts of different ways she's gotten all those goals. And now she's up to 38. Sammy, was kind of a weird start to the season, though, where Grace Yoakum, the star player on the Cowgirl offense, she had a really slow start, and we were wondering maybe when she was going to get that record, but
Sure.
she finally came through with a 2-goal game against Stephen F. Austin and got it done.
She broke the record from two players that you see kind of plastered all around Oklahoma State for being great players in their own right, Jolene Schweitzer and Yolanda Odinho. So now Grace Yoakum, she'll have her name probably up on the big screen at halftime and all that too, being honored for all time as the Cowgirls goal leader. But I've seen that. I think she's a very deserving player of it. The Cowgirls always spoke highly, Coach Colin Carmichael too, of the leader she is and just the ability she has. She plenty of assists and stuff too. So I don't think you break a goal record like that by being selfish and only wanting goals.
Yeah.
So she's had some help. Olivia Dow, a great player to kind of draw some pressure away and some double teams and things like that. I'm sure the first thing Grace Yoakum would say is I couldn't have done it without all those assists and people setting things up for me.
Yeah.
But quite the achievement that won't be matched for some time, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's quite a feat to get 36 goals, at that point in the game, and now 38, as you said. So the Cowgirls are 5-1-1 as of now. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe they're 5-1-1, only with a few games at home. So going into the rest of the season, are you guys going to go check them out as fans there in Neil Patterson? What's that atmosphere like now that you're not a writer anymore for Cowgirl soccer? Do you guys get to go and just enjoy it as fans?
Yeah, of course. We always enjoy going back. We got to check out, I guess, a game, we could call it, what was supposed to be a game for Bedlam when that game got delayed because of lightning and storms. So the one
Never
time we
played
do
it.
go back, Colin even gave us a hard time. Is like, oh, when the Hutchins twins come back, the game doesn't get played.
Exactly.
So maybe we aren't welcome, but we do enjoy getting to go back and follow that team.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a, I think the Cowgirls would be the first to tell you, a bit of a disappointing year for them last year. But they had a lot of players come back, and they lost a lot of close games last year, one-score games, overtime games, and now there's a new rule, as you know, in college soccer, where there's no more overtime in the regular season. It's just
Nope.
90 minutes and shut it off. So I know the Cowgirls weren't too fond of that.
Yeah.
And I thought, hey, there could be some implications there with so many overtime games last year. But yeah, so now it's 90 minutes. Every single minute matters, especially, and I'm excited to watch the season going forward.
Yeah, and that no overtime hasn't really come into play much this year, except for once. They've only got one tie on them, and it was 0-0. So really tough game for them and a long battle for them too. So going into the rest of the season, do you think the fact that these next two games against Mercer and Brown will be at home, do you think they're going to have an easier time playing those games at home with kind of the student and fan interaction there? Do you think that makes it easier for them to outperform the other teams?
Definitely. And Neil Patterson Stadium, some people might not understand, college soccer, what is the atmosphere like there. And it's very impressive, especially at times like a Bedlam game where Cowgirl fans were showing up in droves and some OU fans. But the Neil Patterson environment, it's a great environment, plenty of fans. It gets quite loud. And like you said, there hasn't been so many home games in a long time. They've been on a East Coast road trip down in
Yep.
Florida. So they're back now. And it's the biggest game on campus with Cowboy football not playing till Saturday. So I'd expect plenty of fans to come check it out.
Yeah. And speaking of Cowboy football, we will be coming back after this short little break to speak more on that with Ben and Sam, as that is one of their favorite topics. So that'll be next up on the Writers' Room.
I'm Kristen Hawkins. I went to Oklahoma State University here in Stillwater in '99 to 2004. I've always felt like Stillwater needed more family-friendly things to do, and we have opened up AR Workshop. We do everything from knitting blankets that can be done in a 3-hour class, and we create doormats and porch signs, the Christmas wreaths with our yarn that we use for the blankets. We also do, we just started a new project for gnomes, and we've done pumpkins during the fall. But our big thing that we do here are interior signs. Our designs are extremely unique to in our workshop. Customers come in, everything is here for them to do. They create everything. They can be as hands-on as they want. They came in here to relax and have fun, and that they are proud of their project that they've made.
Ace in the Bowl salsa started many, many years ago. I was trying to find a recipe to take to a family gathering, and so I started messing around with different recipes, and I took a little bit from here and a little bit from there, and I came up with a salsa that is truly unique. Ace in the Bowl salsa is an olive oil based salsa with tomatoes, green chilies, green onions, and black olives. There's no sugar added, it's gluten free, low calorie, low carb, low fat, low sodium. So it's a very, very, very good alternative to any snack you may want. As of right now, I'm just looking to be in Oklahoma and having a successful business within the state. If my grandkids could ever take it over when they're old enough, that would be my dream.
We are back in the writer's room, and I am so excited to get to this segment with Ben and Sam. We're going to do a little recap of our game against ASU. It was a great victory for the Cowboys, so maybe you guys can give us each a rundown from what you saw and what you noticed in the game.
Good. Okay, I saw flashbacks in the first half of Spencer Sanders. Back to Spencer's freshman year, where he was a little bit more turnover prone, and I was like, okay, is this maybe Spencer Sanders from previous years, or the Spencer Sanders we saw week 1 tear it up against Central Michigan? And I think Spencer got it going in the second half for sure. So that was, I guess, my big takeaway was like, okay, Spencer Sanders, had maybe a window where he could maybe fallen back to those similar things he did freshman, sophomore year, where he lost games, but it didn't happen. He rallied, and the Cowboy offense got it done.
I think the biggest thing that I saw was defense playing into offense, right? Because you remember Arizona State was actually leading at the end of the first quarter 3-0, and the Cowboy offense had been minimal. Its effect had been minimal at best, but then Brock Martin, defensive line for Oklahoma State senior, he kind of changed the game when he hit the Arizona State running back in the backfield, caused a fumble at about midfield. And after that, Oklahoma State's offense picked it up. They got a short field, went down and scored a touchdown there, and I think they went touchdown, field goal after that. So I know I talked to Brock Martin after the game, and he said, yeah, their tight end was coming to pull, but my eyes kind of lit up because I knew he couldn't get there. I knew I'd be at the running back first. So Brock Martin made a huge hit, caused a fumble, and really jump-started the offense. And then Oklahoma State kind of pulled away. I think the last 3 quarters were more indicative of Oklahoma State being a top 10 team in the rankings, where they ended up making it a comfortable game for Oklahoma State fans to watch. And
comfortable? There was rain, man. No, that's true.
No comfort there in the rain, huh?
Those fans were not comfortable.
So it was great to hear what you guys had to say. I think now we should take a look at what Mike Gundy had to say after the game.
Tyler made a great decision by coming back and playing college. He could have been I don't know, 5th or 6th round pick. I mean, I don't know. I'm just guessing. But if he continues to work like he is, he's in a good spot right now. He's focused. He's training. He's developing his body, and he's gaining valuable experience. He can jump himself up in the draft and make some really good upfront money. Now, the team's important, but obviously that plays a role too, and he's getting better and better, and his body's developing, right? The male body continues to grow and develop till you're 26 years old. So he's developing, getting bigger and stronger and faster. He made a good decision, and he's been a really good leader for us. It helps when your most experienced and best players play hard and practice hard. Then it's easy for coaches, and that's what he's doing at this point.
So we got to hear from Mike Gundy a little bit about Tyler Lacey there. I know, Sam, you got to actually talk with Tyler Lacey, correct?
Sure, yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about that, what you learned from him?
Well, Tyler, side note, he's probably one of the most fun members of Oklahoma State to talk to. He's bubbling with exuberance. Even after going out on a rainy field and getting hit and hitting people for 60 minutes, he was just full of life after the game. And so we kind of mentioned what Mike Gundy did about Mike Gundy talking, hey, Tyler Lacey, one of those guys, could have gone to the NFL, maybe be a low-round draft pick. Instead, he came back to Oklahoma State, finished getting his degree, which Tyler Lacey mentioned was of big importance to him and his family. And now Tyler Lacey has become a force at the defensive tackle, playing a little 3 technique for Oklahoma State. The defensive line, I have a story that I just wrote today where they have 3 seniors that are huge on that defensive line with Brock Martin, Brendan Evers, and Tyler Lacey. And the impact that those guys are having, you get the flashy guys, Trace Ford, Colin Oliver coming off the edge, but even guys like Sione Asi, big number 99, who just turned 26, which is kind of phenomenal age-wise. It just goes to show how many old guys Oklahoma State has on the team. And so those flashy guys, Colin Oliver, Trace Ford, Sione Asi said young guys like those, they're coming to him for advice on football, on dating, on relationships, just because those guys, the defensive line, they've been there, they've done that. So I think it's really emerging as a big strength for the Cowboys going forward, this veteran defensive line, and Tyler Lacey just one example of that.
Yeah. And then now looking more on the offensive side, Dom Richardson, he had a great game. 37 carries, 131 yards, and 4.9 yards per carry. How does he change the offense's versatility? You know, I think even the second week versus the first week, we were able to do a lot more damage on offense against ASU. How do you think he opens up the offense for the Cowboys?
Yeah, here's the thing about Dom is Mike Gundy said his freshman year, you know, and folks who follow Bishop McGuinness football locally in OKC, they know he runs hard. And you can hear it up in the press box almost, just the physicality with which he runs. Well, this year, he showed a little bit of a new side to his game, and he's a little bit shiftier. Mike Gundy talked Monday about his ability to miss players and to be a little bit more elusive. Sam, maybe that could save his body for later down the season when, you know, running back room that right now is kind of thin on the depth chart. They're going to need Richardson for this whole season, so maybe that'll help him, you know, keep his body in better shape. But yeah, his elusiveness is I think, the biggest new side he's showing so far.
Mike Gundy mentioned at the start of the season, he's like, I've been watching film, and I realized just how difficult it would be to replace Jalen Warren, Oklahoma State's running back last year, because now he's stuck on NFL roster. He's looked great with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Gundy says, I was watching the film, and I realized how many plays where Jalen Warren had nothing, that he made something out of it and turned a 0-yard rush into a 5-yard rush. So I think Dominic Richardson is starting to step into that role a little bit. He and Jalen Warren are still friends, and they've been talking with Warren in Pittsburgh for the NFL, and Richardson back here. So Richardson, he's in that lead back role now, and I think he's starting to excel.
Yeah. So that concludes all that we have here today in the writer's room. So thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you guys go find their work on Ocali.com. There is so much more stories that they have and so many great things to share with you. And also, I hope you guys join us next week as we will have new guests and new stories to share with you from the Ocali. So that's all we have for you this week. Thank you guys, and hope to see you next week in the writer's room.
My name's Kayla. I've been here since the beginning, so 4 years. Scratch is more focused on farm and mostly made in Oklahoma products, keeping it local. Sustainability is our biggest thing. That's one of the reasons why this place opened.
I've been the chef here at Scratch for 2.5 years. Started here as a line cook. Our food and drinks are a bit separate entities almost inside the restaurant. So the food is now up to 85% of the products we bring in are raised or grown locally. It's all based off of things that I grew up eating in southern Oklahoma, the things my grandparents ate.
About fresh food, clean food, organic food, sustainability, that's all of our thing. From front of house to back of house, we're able to maintain both with freshness. But made in Oklahoma means we get it straight from the farms that are 20, 30 minutes, another little county away. We get it straight from them.
The hopes are when folks drink our water is that they'll drink it for a few days and find out the difference. They'll start feeling better.